Our brave main character is not probably very brave at the start of this story. He dies on Earth, however, and is given a second chance. Going to get reincarnated into a fantasy world where he goes on adventures and meets girls and fights demons and you name it, all the wonderful tropes we love. And to help him do those things, the answer to why this is the main character, why he's going to go on to accomplish these wonderful things, it's because he has a cheat skill. He has an ability. He has a power. He has something that no one in this world has. And that's what makes him special. You hate that trope yet? I've kind of grown to hate it. There are so many, like, oh my god, reincarnated into another world, but he's a vending machine. But he's a slime that befriends an elder dragon. But has unlimited defense. But you name it. And it just gets abused and gamed. And you know what? Sometimes it's good. You know, I think I've said many times that I love Konosuba a lot. The goddess there, that's the cheat skill. That's the gimmick of the show. He turns down all the super weapons and all the fast XP leveling and you name it. And he brings the literal goddess of reincarnation with him to defeat the demon lord for him. Konosuba is not really an action series, though. It's a comedy, and it's great. And it's slice of life, and it's hijinks. And yes, they do get in fights with demon lords, but they're not really solved by Kazuma's ability to fight. That's not where the tension comes from, and it's fine for doing that. If the story is lighthearted, humorous, and it's just stuff going on, you know, maybe being the god of farming, it makes for an alright story. I'm currently going to try to defend cheat skills in genuinely serious, straightforward reincarnation type stuff where there is supposed to be tension in the fighting. And it's not because of Konosuba, it's not because of Grimgar over there, it's not because of Overlord. By the way, I don't like Overlord. What I read recently is a Korean manhwa called The Swordsman's Youngest Son. I found it on Monday, and I finished it halfway through Tuesday, all 80-some chapters that I was able to find online. Good luck finding it yourself. And it is a great example of, did this really need to be a reincarnator? I'm going to go out on, like, I think that's a flaw with The Swordsman's Youngest Son. This is a common thing where people will set up stories where, like, oh, I had this horrible cursed life, everyone hated me, I was a loser at everything, and I was cursed, and then I died a miserable death, swearing that I would love to do it again differently, and then reborn as a baby, back in time, I get a second chance where I know all the important details, and it's just, I'm tired of that crap. However, what was used in this story was, as part of the reincarnation, he keeps shadow magic, as well as the knowledge of how to cast spells, despite being in a swordsman family. And that's clearly a cheat skill. It is a cheat skill that gives him fast level up. It gives him an unstoppable edge in tons of fights. It's this unique ability. He has a guardian dragon protecting him. He has all these like trappings of the trope, and yet it works. Yes, you can do this correctly, in my opinion. And I think I have identified the key facet of why it works versus why it doesn't work in, say, reincarnated as a slime. For me. There are two important things going on with The Swordsman's Youngest Son, which I'd recommend. You probably saw it in the thumbnail. Give it a chance. The first is that the bulk of the story happens while he is still like a teenager, which means he hasn't hit his full potential, and he's still trying to do these things because he knows everything is time sensitive. Which means that it's not just him fighting usually. He's usually not the best fighter going on. He just has good plans, and Facet 2 comes up. But he usually relies on the dragon, the other dragon, his older sister, the strength of his father, you name it. He uses other people that are older and also very strong. And that's how he gets out of these pinches, because even though he has shadow magic and actual magic, and he's a good swordsman, and he's from a noble bloodline, you name it, he's going up against people with the same abilities in a lot of ways. Or rather, some of those. He just has them all because he's like freaking Ichigo from Bleach. And that leaves him always in a situation of he probably needs backup, which is simply a great facet for putting tension into a scene and enjoying the fact that the character is strong and able to overpower people, and he's able to kill these just comically despicable villains. But, you know, maybe he needs help. Things can go wrong. He can get in over his head still because he's still young. He hasn't hit full maturity of his abilities, and even though it's clearly implied he's going to. The difference between the swordsman's youngest son and most other people that are just mindlessly using this trope is that it's not just a power upgrade. It's actually used a lot better, and I think can be used more broadly and archetypically in your outline, basically, because he uses it as a power that people don't know he has. Realistically, like, if everyone he went into a fight with was aware that he had shadow magic, they would retreat, they would act differently, they would plan differently, they would bring different forces to bear against him, and he'd probably get crushed. So he intentionally keeps it all hidden, which, it's shadow magic. He gets to erase all presence of it because shadow magic. I hate that. But it is an ability that gives him a card to play that the other people aren't expecting. So they will show up to a fight or apply a certain amount of garrison forces or stick around for expecting to win because they underestimate him. His cheat skill isn't just, linearly making him stronger, making him twice as good as anyone else. It's something that he can sneak in to get an edge in a way that the opponents aren't expecting, which means that the enemies are able to rationally show up to the fight and lose, and it doesn't feel like the enemies are just stupid. I think that right there is like the platonic ideal of how to use a cheat skill, because don't get me wrong. It's cool flashing magic where he turns his sword black and cleaves through defenses and he teleports around. All that's great stuff. I love the visual spectacle, especially in visual form. But if it were just, he's a stronger magic swordsman, that's when you get into the Dragon Ball Z problem of, his numbers are bigger, so we need to power scale someone else's numbers even bigger. And then, over 9,000, over 1 million, over 1 trillion power level? If things just linearly go up, things stop making sense. Earlier threats become meaningless. The relative stakes just break down. But the fact that the cheat skill is more about the extra advantage that isn't planned for correctly really, I think, expands the options of the story. You can get a lot more satisfaction out of the fights, out of the developments, out of the cat and mouse, and the hidden identities and all that good stuff without needing to resort to Eminence in the Shadows, I Am Atomic, for example, where he can just nuke a city if he feels like it because Lamau, he trains enough or whatever. So that's my argument. Maybe you can take some inspiration from that if you're a writer or reader, or maybe you just want to check out The Swordsman's Youngest Son or something else. And I wish I could say I had a story with a cheat skill, but I don't write cheat skills, and maybe that's because I never thought about it this way before. But I've got other books you can buy. You should check them out. You should drop a like on the video and subscribe for more. Till then, cheers.